uh, to let me know, because I want to record this. Today seems to be a busy day for a whole lot of people, but I've learned over the years of doing events, whoever's supposed to be there is there. You know, fret, no worry about if it's 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 100 people. Whoever God has put in position to be wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, you're all right. So whether it's 2, 5, 10, 15, 100, eventually he will expand your territory. As long as that's what you pray for and keep him in your life, in the forefront. Hold on 1 second. Somebody's trying to. Oh, okay. I'm more high tech. I got the phone, the HP, the Mac, and I'm flexing today. All right. Before I call one of my children downstairs, though. So just give me this moment to clear all hearts and minds and just welcome God into this meeting. So, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the wake-up call this morning. We thank you for the breath in our lungs, and our bed was not our cooling board this morning, Heavenly Father. We thank you for this opportunity to gather together, to share, to inform, to enlighten, and to grow. Because you are in the midst of anything and everything that My Recipe for Life does, and all those who are involved. We find it not robbery, and I thank those who decided to join us this evening, this afternoon, those who are here, those who are on their way, or those who are trying to get in. We just thank you, Heavenly Father, they didn't find it not robbery, just to spend this time with us and to learn and to grow and to hear what his brother has to say, Stephen Anthony King, as he comes on this afternoon to share his gifting, to share his word, to share his story, and to just let us know that it's really good to see you. And I can say, thank God, it's good to be seen. So in Jesus' precious and mighty name and matchless name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Well, I thank y'all for coming out this afternoon. I really appreciate it. I've been on this book club journey for a while now, whether it was with Simple Pleasures Book Club, when I was the book club PR rep for 11 years at a former church, New Vision Church and Deliverance, where I was the book club ministry of Power Words Book Club. And now I phase it into Soul Book Club, which is supporting, uplifting, supporting opportunities, uplifting, and learning from one another. So I thank you. I am your host, Tsahi Alexander-Holmes. And this afternoon, we have none other than Stephen Anthony King, a good friend of mine, and I'm so glad he's doing big. Always been doing big things, but I really love this because I'm a bookworm. So that was right up my alley. I have it on Kindle, and I got the hard copy. So when I see you, it's gonna be in my purse.
Yes.
Your autograph up on here, and it came yesterday. I was like, oh, right on time. I mean, I read the book, but I was waiting for this because I want to do this. I want to go to the phone. That's whack. I want to go. Oh, that. So Amazon, give them a shout out. I'm gonna write my review in there because this sucker came real quick. And it went to the lady 2 doors down. I saw the picture on my phone, so it was delivered. I was like, hold on. I got in the house and put my stuff down. She came and rang the bell. She was like, I think this is yours. Yes, it is mine. I know. Thank you. I was a little colorful about it, but that's all right. That's because her chicken was attacking my garden last year, but that's another story. So we are here this afternoon. It's really good to see you. It's good to be seen.
Yes.
Amen. Stephen Anthony King. I'm just going to read a little bit from your jacket. For those who don't have the hard copy, what so many take for granted, Stephen Anthony King had struggled with his entire life. From the age of 7 to 51, he had amassed 10 eye operations and had lost sight in his right eye. Then from 2017 to 2018, 4 more eye operations, temporary blindness, and the threat of permanent blindness pushed Stephen's faith and perseverance to the limits. It's really good to see you. Takes you on a suspense-filled journey. With such forces, Stephen to rely on his strong belief in prayer, meditation, affirmation, and a will to never give up. With the support of his loving wife, there over there in the corner, that's my homegirl, Tina King, because another Tina on here. You don't have two wives named Tina, it's only one of them.
That's the next book coming out.
With the support of his loving wife, family, and friends, Stephen manifested the only outcome acceptable to him, saving his sight by any means necessary. After reading this book, the phrase "it's really good to see you" will never mean the same to you again. So let's welcome Stephen Anthony King.
Blessings, blessings, blessings to everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So instead of me reading a native New Yorker, Stephen Anthony King is a public speaker. Tell us right now a little bit about you. That's a little more, that's not listed in the jacket of your book.
Okay. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here. Stephen Anthony King, born and raised in Harlem. Harlem made me who I am, hence the Yankee hat. It's our signature. Grew up the third and youngest of three siblings. My sister is 10 years older than me. My brother is 8 years older than me. So I really grew up kind of as an only child because they were out and doing their own thing. Love sports, love my mom who raised me, but grew up really, really kind of insecure because I wore thick glasses as a little kid. So I always had to kind of like overcompensate for what I felt inside. And especially having so many surgeries. I had my first surgery at 7, and I had 3 more by the time I was 16, and lost sight in my right eye shortly after college. And as the book says, if you fast forward to 2016, I had a total of 10 eye operations and just the sight in one eye. But that never really stopped me from, it was actually kind of motivation because I'm very competitive. Even though, you know, I struggled with low self-esteem as a child, I always wanted to be the best because I didn't feel like I was the best. So I was very, very competitive in sports. I was the quarterback of my football team. And we were good. I played college basketball, and I really took a liking to dressing in style because it allowed me to somewhat get that positive attention that I always wanted, you know. And in the beginning, it was a crutch. You know, it was definitely a tool to overcompensate for low self-esteem. But as I grew and matured and actually did some work on myself, it just became something that I really liked to do and not needed to do, if you will. Because if this was the old Stephen, I would have been in a suit, a tie, you know, made sure that I had, you know, went to the barber and all that first. But I'm just happy to be here for sure.
Oh, so you gave us the scruffy Stephen? You amongst family, Stephen? That's
yes. I can go in the fridge and don't have to ask.
So I noticed you mentioned style. Now, is that a Harlem thing? God bless the dead. My father is from Harlem, and he stayed styling. So is that something that's a Harlem throughout the borough thing or a Stephen thing?
Well, I think for me, I'll speak just for me. Harlem made me who I am. Because growing up in, you know, the late 70s and the 80s, hitting that hip hop era, you know, you had to be fresh to death or, you know, you just wasn't down. That's it. So the Pumas and washing the sneakers with the toothbrush to make sure the soles were clean, you know, the Lees with the permanent crease in them, the Latigra polo shirts, things like that. You know, again, part of being competitive, even competitive in dressing. So for me, it definitely came from growing up in Harlem. It was kind of the culture in Harlem.
Okay, I can definitely relate to that because I was born in Harlem, but my father was Harlem through and through, even though we moved to Queens. So yeah, I can definitely, and you talked about, let's see, I wanted to jump. I didn't want to jump straight in. I just wanted some people, but it seemed like the only person who might not know a little bit about you was my homegirl Shayna, because amongst us all here, we are definitely family. But I noticed I when I do the meetings, I get words that continue to flash at me. Prayer, meditation, and affirmation seems to be a theme throughout. Throughout the book. And all right, I'll just read in the chat. Seems to be a theme throughout the book. So how important is it to you, or to set up, wait a minute. How important is it to set aside a time for mental and spiritual peace? You talk about that in chapter 8.
Correct. I think that's a great question. And putting the book aside, just in life in general, my experience is that it is paramount. Because just to give you an example, T and I, we have this thing. Well, I have this thing. She doesn't like when I say it, but after 14 and a half years of marriage, we still make love every single morning without fail, right? So to the question, the way we make love is the first thing that we do is wake up and we list 5 to 10 things that we're grateful for, because it puts our mindset in a posture of gratitude, because you can wake up and don't have to do anything to start thinking negative. All the stuff that went on yesterday, all the stuff that you got to do today and tomorrow, you know, there's more month at the end of the money, right? All these things that are negative that you don't have to do anything to wake up and start thinking about. So we're very intentional about pointing our minds in the right direction. So after we do the gratitude, then we go into prayer. And our prayer is not one of, God, please give me, thank you, God, grant me this and grant me that. It's thank you, God. That's really what it is, because my God already promised me everything. And it's up to me to activate that mindset to go out and get it. So in answer to your question, for me, it's how I start my day every day. And there's sometimes, obviously, we're not perfect and we don't do it. You know, you wake up late and you have things to do and you can't really focus on that time. I can feel the difference when I pray versus when I don't pray or meditate and center my spirit. I'm more edgy. You know, likely to pop off on somebody. You know, things start to bother me and irritate me a little bit more than they would if I was spiritually centered from the beginning. So for me, it's paramount, without question. To me, it's really just as important as food and water to maintain that peace and serenity.
Thank you. So I'm going to kind of jump around in here, and since we was on the subject and you brought up your lovely wife, and you know me, y'all, everybody on here knows me well as know I got my little jokes in between there. Nothing was wrong with your eyesight, brother, when you saw her.
That's for sure.
one good eye, one whatever.
That's right.
Go ahead, bro. Nothing wrong with that. I'm sorry, you know how I am. So the posture of gratitude is key. You have a heart, a thankful heart of thankfulness.
Yes.
For the things unseen, for the things that you do have, and don't fret about what you don't have. You focus on what you do have.
Correct.
In your life. That's paramount to having peace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, there's a quote that says gratitude is making what you have enough. And that's so deep because, you know, as humans, we always get into what we want or what we don't have, comparing ourselves to what somebody else has. Even at this age, we all do it as humans. But it's kind of like a slap in the face. It's like if I were to give you a gift, right? And then Tina came along, I gave you a pocketbook, right? And Tina came along and she had a Louis Vuitton, and you were like, wow, I like that Louis Vuitton better than mine. Right? How would I feel? I would feel like you were ungrateful. To me, it's the same with the universe. God gave me everything that I have. And if I don't show appreciation for that, how can I open the door to get more? That's my thought. So gratitude unlocks the door to the abundance that's waiting. That's kind of my mindset.
Thank you. Vivian had asked when we were a little ways back talking about Harlem and the culture. Did that culture help you into accepting who you were at the time when we were talking about Harlem?
Actually, it worked against me at the time.
At the time.
Growing up as a teenager, it I always compared myself. You know, we grew up in that age of big time drug dealers and things of that nature. And I was in the game, but I wasn't in the game like that. So being very competitive and being young and immature, I always wanted to be what I saw, not so much what I was. But like with anything, you know, I think with time and experience and actually some effort in doing some real like written work on yourself, you know, wisdom comes about. And you start to accept yourself for who you really are. To make a point, you know, there was a time when I would never talk about my eyesight, ever, because I felt that it was my weakness. It was my kryptonite. It didn't match the image. You know, I kind of took on the name Big Steve, and it was totally the opposite of Big Steve, you know, but now I see that all along, that weakness was really my strength. I see all the perseverance and how, you know, I was able to still accomplish things with this. I don't like to even call it a disability. I call it a unique ability, you know, to navigate through life. And now, not only to just navigate through life, but to use it to help other people who may be feeling just like I'm feeling, not just with the eyesight, but feeling hopeless, feeling they're in front of an immeasurable task. There's something in front of them that they can't overcome. Now I'm using my story, which was once kind of, you know, what I deem to be my weakness is now my strength to help people.
Thank you. I had my eyes checked on Wednesday, and it was just to check up the prescription. And I always hate them peeking in my eyeballs. It always makes me feel some kind of way.
Yeah.
And then I'm blessed, so it's kind of hard for me to get up there and look at the thing too. And I said, wait a minute, you sitting up here complaining, the lady poking you in your eye. Then she made me take the retina test. And I thought about your book and all the surgeries and everything that you've been through. And that inspired me. I mean, I may be joking about it, but I'm dead serious. It inspired me to be like, look, your boy done went through all that. You could sit right here and let this lady check your eye.
Yes.
Check your eye. And this one I had surgery on, laser surgery 2 years ago. And she thought she saw the scarring, but she thought she saw blood. Like actually about my pressure and things of that nature, and what have you. And I was like, yeah. And recently my father just passed and I want to choke out my sister. So yeah, my pressure's been up a lot. So you know, I made it. She recommended I make another appointment with the retina doctor who did the laser surgery. But the whole time while she was talking to me and I was getting the test, I thought of you. And I was like, wow. I was just remembering some of the things you said. I prayed also when she was giving me the results, and I thought about you when you said it's really good to see you. And I was like, and I also, you know, when you used to say that, I say it's good to be seen as a catchphrase right back to you. So I just want to let you know that in the untimely or random moment, it wasn't even random that I did, in fact, not just because you're my friend, but the inspiration that came from reading your story helped me get through my eye appointment the other day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And my condolences to you for your dad.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So public speaking, I mean, I'm going to dip back and forth between the book and things that you do. So is a public speaking also come from the gift of gab of being from Harlem and easy to get up and be in front of people? So tell us a little bit about the public speaking and
absolutely
learn from the forward from Les Brown. I see he wrote your forward as well.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's my guy. But Harlem definitely helped me be comfortable in front of a microphone, right? My friends used to tell me all the time, I never met a mic I didn't like. I was an MC back in the days. I owned a record label back in the days. Whenever we would go to events, whether it was a baby shower or a bridal shower or anything like that, I would grab the microphone and I would start hosting the party. You know, Malik Yoba, I grew up with Malik Yoba, like literally grew up. You know, I tease him about stealing my Shelter Adidas, still to this day. Once he started getting his notoriety with New York Undercover, he used to come back to where we lived and throw block parties, and he would bring celebrities in and stuff. It was really nice. And I used to host those events all the time. So public speaking was always I can remember being like 8 years old, 7, 8 years old. And anybody who grew up in New York and listened to WBLS would remember Ken Spiderwebb. He was the DJ who was on in the morning. Like at 8 years old, I'll never forget, I wrote a letter to him telling him that when I grew up, I wanted to be a radio DJ. And he actually read it on the air. I would never forget, I was getting ready for school one day and my mom called me and he was reading my letter. So that's how far back it goes, my love for the microphone and being in front of an audience. So it just comes second nature to me.
And what made you want to expound on that? Like when your mentor being Les Brown, to take it to another level?
Really, when the doctor told me, and it's in the book, when he says, Steve, I think we finally got you out the woods, I knew right then and there that I was going to share this story with the world. I didn't know right then and there that I was going to write a book, but I knew somehow, some way, I was going to share this testimony with the world. And that's when I started to really take public speaking seriously. Not that I hadn't before, because I had spoken publicly at numerous events, whether it was in the corporate arena, training folks and holding seminars there, or, you know, throwing women empowerment conferences, things like that, you know, with the whole Complete Chocolate Couples. But when I met Les Brown on Clubhouse in January, it was the perfect opportunity for me to first of all be humble enough to know that, you know, no matter how good I thought I was at public speaking, and I was pretty good, that I could be better, especially if I can be taught by one of the greatest to ever do it, you know. So it was like a no-brainer that I got to get involved with Les Brown. And speaking of the forward, talking about manifesting and back to the prayer, the affirmation, the visualization, right? When I decided to write the book in 2018, before I even wrote the first word, I visualized, once the book was finished, sending emails about my book to 3 people: Oprah Winfrey, Steve Harvey, and Les Brown. I swear to you, back in 2018. And then just by chance, we happened to meet Les Brown or hear Les Brown speaking on Clubhouse. And, you know, a quick story about that. I wasn't even going to get on. I was working on the book. I was up for 24 hours and I was dead tired. It was a Friday night. I was watching TV. TV started watching me. And Tina, my beautiful wife, right, said, Les Brown is on Clubhouse. So I love Les Brown. I've been listening to him since the 90s. So, you know, I was prepared to listen. And then when we started listening, we saw that people were giving like 2 to 5 minute presentations to him. And right away, T was like, you got to get on. You got to talk to Les Brown. You got to let him know how good you are, right? And I was like, babe, I'm not ready. I'm tired. I'm just not into it, right? And she hit me with the black girl magic. She said, you mean to tell me you too tired to talk to Les Brown? And the head was going like this. Right? And then the ultimate, she gave me the whatever, right? And that whatever, oh, it cut me to my soul. It cut me to my soul, but it was what I needed, right? To get up, put a pot of coffee on, and I started pacing my floor for 2 hours. It took me 2 hours to finally get to talk to Les Brown, right? And as I'm pacing the floor, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say to him. I got to speak to him for 5 minutes. And after that 5-minute conversation, he offered to write the foreword to the book.
Now look at God.
So that's the story.
And that's the power of, and then the next thing I was going to talk, the spouse, you mentioned somewhere in there, the spouse or partner that you choose is a decision to not to go into lightly. You started talking about in sickness and health and in life. So choosing a partner who is not only going to push you and cheerlead and put up a mirror to yourself and be like, look, sometimes your partner can see what's in you that you can't see.
Correct.
Or they see it and you may know it, but you need that little shove, that little push, that little. And,
100%.
and I know Tina this high and you just saw us out.
She ain't no punk though. She definitely ain't no punk.
I know that. You got lots of little ones.
Yeah.
Packing
So
concentrated energy, concentrated.
Exactly. So to your point, right? I think that's the true essence of a wife submitting to her husband. Submitting does not mean bowing down and being passive to him and walking out of the room backwards bowing. It means when you submit to him, it means that you are there to make him his best. That's how I take the word submit. This is my man. This is my king. I'm going to do what it takes to make him the best. And sometimes that's not being quiet and sitting in the corner just because he's the man and you're the woman. Sometimes, like you said, when you know there's something in him and he can't feel it for himself, it's up to her to bring it out. And that's what she did. I have this little poem that I wrote one day. T was having surgery and I was in the waiting room and I just started, I was just in a moment for her and I just started writing this down. I said, you are my eyes when I couldn't see. You represent us when I can't find me. You are our strength when I feel weak. You are our voice when I can't speak. And that's exactly what happened. In the moment, I wasn't really feeling strong. And she pushed me to, she challenged me to bring out what was supposed to come out. And here's the result. Les Brown wrote the foreword for the book. So I honor my queen. I love you, baby.
Yes, it says women tend to be the wisdom.
Yes.
And where you are the head, but we're the neck.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll influence you by the knowledge and the wisdom that we have and the love that we have for our husband or for our man or, for our partner. So that comes from definitely a God-chosen spouse, a God-chosen partner, and equally yoked to know each other's strengths and each other's weaknesses.
And here's the other part. It takes a wise man to really know how to listen to his wife and not think that you lead by control. You don't lead your household by control. You lead your household by wisdom. And sometimes she has intuition that I don't have. She can see things about people that I can't see. And I would be a fool not to listen to her just because I'm the man and she needs to stay in a woman's place. That's not the way it is. She's my partner and she fills in my weaknesses, or not my weaknesses, but she has some strengths that maybe I don't have. Mm-hmm. So just to have the humility to be able to receive that and watch things prosper because of it is really a blessing in my opinion.
So I wouldn't consider it weaknesses is where you lack.
Correct. Better term. I agree.
Lack, and then your partner fills in.
Correct.
And vice versa.
100%.
Right. So you talk a bit about darkness in the book. And I wrote down a lot of things happen in the dark, or like I would say in the dirt, because I like to grow things. Mm-hmm. So for you, can you speak a little bit about that darkness?
I can. So I just spoke recently, and I was talking about story in the good book, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Or from Harlem, we call him Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro, right?
All right.
And for those who don't know the story, they defied the king. They wouldn't worship his golden statue. And because of that, they were bound and thrown into this fiery furnace. And, back in those days, that was a spectacle. They would fill stadiums with football sized stadiums with crowds to watch people get thrown to the lions and, put on crosses and things like that. So once they were put in the fiery furnace, all the onlookers watched in astonishment as they saw these figures in the fire rise. But they didn't just see three. They saw four figures rise in the fire. And that fourth figure was the one that provided the grace, right? So back to the darkness and how I connected on a deeper level to the title, It's Really Good to See You. When I talk about it from a spiritual sense, not just the gratitude, but it means God, it's really good to see you. As I look back, I can see where God was all the time in what I consider to be the darkness. He was there. And my part was just moving forward, walking by the faith and not by the sight. Even though I didn't know where I was going in the darkness, I knew where to go. And that was to God. So intentionally, I couldn't sleep. I was wake up in the middle of the night with all the anxiety. So instead of just letting my mind wander, that's when I would start to meditate. That's when I would start to use my affirmations. That's when I would do those things. So even in the darkness, I was calling on God to kind of lead me through it. And he did. And as I look back on that whole experience, I can now pinpoint every single place. He was with me all the time, but I mean those really special moments where he showed up and showed out. So the darkness it's a metaphor, as like you say, things grow in the dark, and you're forced to find your way in the dark, if you will, and feel through it. Or you can just stay there. It's your choice. And I chose to keep moving forward, even though I didn't know what was exactly in front of me.
Thank you. So I have on my notes, right after I started writing down darkness, the symbolism that comes to me when I was reading and writing was your hand being held, a guide, trust, and being comfortable. That came along with being in the dark and when your physical self could not see.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and correlate that with God.
Correct.
Your hand being held.
Correct.
He's guiding you. You have trust in him, and that comfortability is peace. But go ahead, brother.
Well, I just wanted to add to it, the comfortability part and the guiding that was provided by Tina as well, because literally she was my eyes. I'm talking about, I'll never forget where we lived. There was this long hallway from our door to the garage, and she would hold my arm. And anytime that we were either going to take a step or there was a dip or a turn, she would gently like squeeze me to kind of notify me that, oh, be careful, we're about to, shift a little bit or do something different. So I definitely felt completely comfortable. Comfortable is not even a strong enough word. I felt safe with my wife because I knew that she was protecting me at all times.
And that is a at peace and wonderful feeling to have.
Correct.
Amen. Let me see what else I have here. It's the second part of your journey. And I think in what I wrote here in chapter 12, honestly, to tell the truth, admit that you admitted that you were scared, you were nervous, and you required patience. Living just a little more day by day. So can you talk about that process? I know you wrote it in the book, but for those for here for sake of discussion, that living more day by day and back to work and redirecting your focus.
Yeah. So you're right. I was afraid. In the beginning, I was afraid, would the first surgery even work? Then once it did, and I gained a little bit of comfortability, then I had to have that second emergency surgery. So now, like, my stress level and my anxiety and my fear of will this thing work out was like through the roof. And one of the only ways that I could kind of temper that was to get back to some sense of normalcy, if you will. I couldn't see, but I've been in sales for 30 years. And most of my, at the time, the position that I held was mostly phone work. I had sales reps in the street who would report to me. So I really didn't have to see anything. I just had to talk to them. And when I was able to do that, it allowed me to take my mind off of what I was going through. And again, it put me back in a familiar scenario where I was somewhat in control. I'm good at what I do at work, and a lot of people count on me. So being back in that element gave me that little boost of confidence, if you will. I could put this eye situation to the side. I can submerge myself in work where I'm comfortable, where I'm in control, where I know the results of my efforts. You see, the uncertainty of this situation with the eyes was what caused the fear. I like to be in control of situations, like most of us do, right? Or the perception of control, because really God is in control of everything. But at least I know I have experience and proven results in my work. And when I was able to immerse myself in that, it allowed me to escape, the anxiety from the eyes and things like that.
Thank you. We've talked about how it has affected you and your wife. How did it affect you with fatherhood and your son, your children, and that beautiful grandbaby you have? How they deal, and how did you deal with that?
That's a great question. And I'll be quite honest with you. I try to keep this away from my children as much as I possibly could. My daughter was in college, and she was coming home for the summer, but they knew what was going on, but I didn't let them in on the severity of the situation because, like most fathers, I didn't want my children to panic. And even with Tina, I didn't really let her see all the emotions that I was going through internally, because she feeds off of my emotion. And I needed to be strong for her so that she could be strong. She probably could have did it on her own, but I just didn't want to let my wife or my children really see, the stress and the anxiety that I was going through. So I kind of hid it from them. I talked about, dad's going to need to have another operation, but it's not that big of a deal. It's routine, so I really kept it away from them. So they didn't really worry as much because they didn't know the intricate details of what was going on. And they didn't know what the risk was.
So is that more protection for you or more protection for them? Because sometimes we try to tell ourselves we're protecting the other person, but some ways that we tend to be protecting ourselves because we don't want to necessarily deal with how they may respond or take on their emotion and their I don't want to say issues, but then it puts up a wall. Because sometimes I've done it where I'm saying, oh, I'm protecting the kids, but they're tough. They could there's some things they could have handled, but you want to take that on. So was it more protecting Stephen, or was it more?
I think that's great insight. And I think it's a combination of both. For a couple of reasons. I definitely wanted to protect their emotions and not have them to panic. But at the same time, I knew I didn't have the capacity to deal with their emotions and mine. So you're right, it was twofold. I want to protect them. I don't want them to panic, because if they panic, being the patriarch, I got to take that on and I got to fix that. And I don't really have the capacity to do that. It's enough for me just to keep my emotions in check, let alone my loved ones. So I agree that it was a combination of both.
All right, so I feel normal even if I couldn't see a thing. I think you said that in the book. And I also said your vision may be a bit blurry, but keep on going. In chapter 13, excitement versus anxiety is what I was, when I was reading that. So what you was dealing with, the excitement of coming back to what quote unquote normal, or the anxiety of coming back to normal, which was
a combination of both, right? So by the time we get to chapter 13, I've had the first surgery, which was going well, and everything was going well until that one fateful day in June, about 4 weeks later. So now I'm getting back to that same point after the second surgery, where it's like, okay, we're at that point where things were going good. Is it going to go bad again? So it was the excitement of the progress, but the anxiety of going to the doctor's office and hearing that heart-wrenching news that we got to do it again. So it was definitely like a buffet of emotions, from 1 minute to the next. Like, I'm really excited and celebrating the progress. I forget what chapter it is, but the day that I was able to go to the store by myself, and Vivian knows, the complex that we used to live in, there's a pantry, right? I think you were there. You visited us before too. Yeah. So there's a pantry right downstairs, a grocery store, in this little mall. And a simple thing as going from my house downstairs to get something, I didn't even need anything. I just wanted the independence to do it on my own, was exhilarating. I had to break my life down into these little micro victories. I'll never forget just looking at my phone when my phone would ring, just looking at it and being able to see the name, even if it wasn't like I couldn't see it very sharp and clear, just being able to make out the letters. These little micro victories helped me. So that was the excitement. But then in the back of my mind was always, is this short-lived? Is it going to happen again? So it was definitely this seesaw of emotions.
I know when I was reading where you were doing that, it's weird because I know you and we know each other. I know your height, I know your build and everything. But I saw little Steven like making it down the hall, like, I'm gonna do this. It's the first time your mama let you go to the store, or she give you the key to the apartment or something. As black kids from those days when our parents had to work. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get on this elevator. I'm gonna go get these cheese doodles and this quart of water. And I'm gonna come back and be like, yeah, I did that. Even though it's you, the grown Steven, I saw the child Steven feeling like he made it out there. So if little Steven was talking to big Steven, both of y'all were able to accomplish that goal.
And that's a great analogy you make, because now that you said that, that's how I felt. I felt like a little kid. I remember the minute you said that, I remember we moved down to the east side of Harlem when I was 9 going on 10 years old. And I used to still go to school uptown on the west side of Harlem. And I'll never forget the first time my mother let me get on the bus and take the bus uptown to school. That's how I felt going to that store. That's how I felt. It's amazing how you made that connection, but that was spot on, because it was something so simple, but such a huge, monumentous task for me to take on at the time. Like going to school for the first time on the bus, traveling for the first time on the bus by myself, scared, not knowing what's around me. Same thing when I went downstairs in my elevator to go to the store. I didn't really want to bump into anybody because I didn't want to have to deal with all the questions about what's going on, how you been, all that stuff. So it was very similar. It's great that you made that comparison because that's how I felt.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, anxiety, excitement. So before I open it up to everyone, because I try not to hog it, I wanted to ask you, what would you say to aspiring writers in the process, etc., to aspiring people who would watch this when I post it on YouTube to be, and you would give them a nugget or two?
Don't give up, because there's a young lady who is a Les Brown colleague of mine. Her name is Dr. Cheryl Woods. And she says, the story you're sitting on is the story someone else is waiting on. I didn't write this story for me. I wrote this story for you when you went to the eye doctor so you could pull strength from it. I wrote this story for the people who are out there who are faced with what seems to them as an insurmountable task, to let them know that they can get through it. So, the minute that I decided to write this, it was no longer for me. It really never was for me. It made sense. Like, just to hear what you said earlier today about how you pulled from my book to draw some strength, right, made everything that I went through worthwhile, in my opinion. It's stories like that and testimonies like that help me to appreciate, not question, but appreciate what I've been through, because I know that I'm doing God's will. So that's my nugget to the people out there. Don't worry about being perfect. Just write and figure it out later. If you have a story that was put on your heart, it was meant to come to life, and you just have to move forward with it. Now, from a logistics standpoint, I would tell people to be very careful. Seek professional help, right? If you're not a professional writer, but be cautious in who you seek, because there are a lot of people out there being taken advantage of by so-called publishers and editors and things like that. So just be diligent. Yeah, it's a whole nother world that I knew nothing about. Really, writing the book, getting the book on paper was the easy part. The publishing part is where it starts to get really challenging, and you have to be careful. So do your homework. That would be or call me.
That's where it gets sticky, huh?
That's where it gets sticky.
Most definitely. So you talk about 3 simple words to live by in the jacket of the book, which is purpose, positivity, and perseverance.
Correct.
What is your purpose? And speak on positivity and perseverance.
Okay, great. My purpose is what I'm doing, to touch as many people as I possibly can with my life's experiences and how I didn't just go through, but I got through, and the techniques and the things that I use, the resources that I use to get through. That's my purpose. I think everybody was put here on this planet to help somebody else in one specific way. And we all have unique gifts, right? That just things that we can do that just come easy to us, that to other people, it's just so hard, to do. And I believe we're supposed to use those gifts to help others in whatever way possible. That's why I don't call it a disability. Like I said earlier, it's a unique ability to help people, who can identify with me. Because when you think about it, when you're trying to help people, it's very common for people to say, that's cool, but you don't know what I've been through. You can't help me. You can't possibly know what I've gone through. And there's a God created a specific audience for me, right? Just for me to talk to. He put it up on Eventbrite. He sent emails out to that audience. They bought tickets and they're in the theater waiting just for me to come and share my story. And it's happening already. We were at a wedding. And and people were sitting at another table, and one of our friends had I guess I could say who it is. I'm not breaking anonymity. It was Bill and Malika. Malika was sitting at a table with a gentleman, and and he had an eye patch on. So they started conversating, and he had reached down for something and banged his eye on the corner of the dresser and like ripped his eye all up, and he was being threatened with blindness. And Malika immediately told him about me and my book. She introduced us. We started talking. We connect now over the phone. You know what I mean? And he read the book and he told me, you're really giving me some hope. There was another friend who her brother is down south and is legally blind and is really fighting with everything he has to regain his sight. So she plugged me into him, and I was able to talk to him and share with him some of the techniques I used, because when I was going through it, I used to listen to audiobooks. And one of the books that I would listen to was Joel Osteen. He has this book called I Declare. It's 31 declarations, right? And I would listen to that every morning. And lo and behold, the brother started listening to the book. He called me about a week later and he thanked me. He was like, listen, you don't know how much this book is helping me, because of what I'm going through. So again, that's the purpose. And when you walk in your purpose, it comes easy. Like, because I was walking in my purpose, because I was on the path to my purpose, I truly believe that's why Les Brown came into my life. It was nothing special that I did, nothing. But he was supposed to give the book a bit more notoriety to reach that audience that is waiting for me, right? So that's the purpose part. The positivity, for me, you don't get past go unless you have a positive mindset. Perception is life. I can look at this pen and, I can say it's a beautiful pen. You can say it's an ugly pen, and we're both right. But which one serves us better? The negative mindset or the positive mindset? It's definitely the positive mindset, because with the positive mindset, you're looking at the glass half full. You're not looking at all the things that are going wrong. You're looking at the opportunities to go right. And that helps you with your walk, with your effort, with the effort that you put into it. If you will go into something thinking that it's not going to work, you're not going to put your full effort into it. But if you go into something, if I told you, Miss T, that, if you took the train all the way downtown to Bowling Green and got on the Staten Island ferry and went across and went to Stapleton Projects, right? And you did, you break dance, you were break dancing because Wu-Tang was playing, Ice Cream. Yeah. Right. And if I told you to do that, right, if you did that, I guaranteed you $10,000, you would do that because you already knew that there was $10,000 waiting for you. But if I just told you, I want you to go all the way downtown, get on the Staten Island ferry, go to Stapleton Project. Stapleton Projects, you know how crazy Stapleton Projects is? I ain't going to no Stapleton Projects. They smoke crack over there. I might get robbed, but you wouldn't be as enthusiastic about going. So that's how I look at a negative mindset versus a positive mindset. It's a mind hack. I trick myself into believing that I can do anything that I put my mind to, that it's already done. And I just have to go through the steps to accomplish it and to manifest it. So it is everything to me. It is really the heartbeat of any task that I take on, the positive mindset.
And perseverance?
Perseverance is that don't give up. That don't give up. Like in the story, and for those who will watch this, the first doctor that I went to who diagnosed me with my condition told me he wasn't going to operate on me. He didn't think it was worth it. Because remember, up until that point, I had 10 surgeries,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of trauma, and my eye was very fragile. And he didn't want a failure on his watch. Now, I could have left his office and just went on his word, but I didn't.
Now you got a little gangster after that, I saw.
Yeah, man. I said, listen, if I'm going to go blind, it's going to be God's will. It's not going to be a lack of effort on my part. And God will honor your effort. He will meet you at your level of effort. So if it doesn't work the first time, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means you have to keep on going. And because I kept on going, right, I went to a second doctor, and then I went to a third doctor. And then that third doctor introduced me to the top doctor in the world, without exaggeration. People can Google him. His name is Dr. Stanley Chang.
I did. I was like, oh.
Yeah. 30 years in the game. Yeah. 40 years in the game, chairman of the board, Columbia Ophthalmology, which is one of the most prestigious hospitals in New York City. He invented surgery or procedures that are widely used today. Now, what if I would have given up, not even after the first doctor, what if I would have given up after the second doctor? I would have never got to Dr. Chang, who was probably the only doctor in the world not to perform the first surgery, but to help me with the subsequent emergency surgeries. So that's the point. The perseverance is necessary, because to me, prayer without action is wishing, you know,
Right.
Faith without works is dead. I can wish for a job all the time, but if I make one call and they don't accept me, what am I going to do? Say, see, there's no jobs out there? No, I got to keep going. I have to keep going. So the perseverance is, you know, Kirk Franklin has a song called Hide Me. And in it, he says, God's delay is not your denial. It's not no, it's just not right now.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I to say this is it? No, I'm going to keep going until God says this is it. And that's the perseverance part.
And I say to that, God does not give you that vision or that dream for no reason.
Correct.
So he gave it to you because he knew you can accomplish it.
Correct.
It's the work you put in to get there.
100%. 100%.
So it's like seeing the cemetery, and there's so many unwritten stories, movies, careers, things that did not happen because they did not pursue it. They died with it instead of going on what God put in them, no matter what it took. And
I'm smiling, right? I'm smiling because you said they died with it, right? So Miles Monroe, who he was kind of like the Caribbean T.D. Jakes, may he rest in peace. Powerful pastor. He said the richest place in the world is the graveyard, because all the dreams and all the goals that died with people that never came to fruition died with them. And what you talked about with, you know, if God put it on your heart, Denzel Washington once said, true desires of the heart for anything good is God's proof to you in advance that it's already yours. It is already yours. The minute that you think about it for the first time, it is done. You just have to take the steps to make it come to fruition. So that's how I look at things. You know, that's definitely, and it leads back to the positivity as well. You know, all the mindset.
I see how you did that. I see how you did that. All right. So before I open things up, I just wanted to read the back of your jacket. It says, if you're ready to tap into your greatness and need an example of faith, courage, and conviction, it's really good to see you is the book for you. And that was Les Brown, world's leading motivational speaker and best-selling author. So before I open up the panel for anyone who has any discussion or any questions, also, if you didn't know, the African American Literary Awards winner right here for Best Published Author. Yes. Yes. Give her your flowers while you can smell them as well as
Thank you.
see them. Amen on that note. And talk a little bit about the complete chocolate couples before I open it up for anyone who has questions. I want them to know you multifaceted, even though we're talking about the book, which is great, but this is also a part of you.
Great, great. So Complete Chocolate Couples is an organization that my wife, Tina, and I created back in 2010. And the mission is to empower, celebrate, highlight, and establish healthy, happy, positive relationships in the African American community. It's also designed to counteract all the negative stereotypes and negative programming that we're bombarded with about our relationships. We're not all baby daddies. It's not all about baby mama drama. There are healthy relationships in our community, and they need to be celebrated. They need to be honored. They need to get their flowers. And so the world can see different than what they're trying to make us out to be. So we started in 2010 with a meetup group because we wanted to hang out with couples that were doing what we were doing. So we started a meetup group, and it started with one couple. Shout out to Ed and Sarah Stowe. We all know them from Question of the Day, right? Those are our day one dogs. They were the first couple to come to a Complete Chocolate Couples meetup. And we were blessed to see their fairy tale story, from boyfriend, girlfriend, to engagement, to marriage, to the child, to the house, the whole thing. We saw the whole thing. And that's a complete chocolate couple in the nutshell. We were blessed to see you and your beautiful husband, go from dating to marriage, blessed. So we started out with that. I always, again, that radio show thing, I always, as I told you, I wrote the letter to Ken Spider Webb. I got a chance to live out that dream because we created the Complete Chocolate Couples radio show on Blog Talk Radio, where we would bring on experts in certain areas of relationships, communication, finance, sex, whatever. Or we would bring on couples who had been through infidelity, had been through, loss of children, things like that, domestic violence. So we added that facet. And then we both said, hey, we need to really take this to the next level. And we both got certified as relationship coaches. And we were able to help coach couples through, what to do and what not to do. Tina and I like to always say we're not experts in anything, but we have a lot of experience in things on what to do and what not to do. And what we found by exploring the coaching was that all the information that we were seeking to give others, we were able to use in our own marriage, so it really helped us. It's one of those things that you can't keep it unless you give it away. And so that's a little bit about, we have a Facebook page. So join our Facebook page, Complete Chocolate Couples, the movement. Got over 35,000 people on that page. And we are, slowly but surely putting together a coaching program once again to get back into that and help couples in any way we can possible. So thank you for allowing me to highlight that a little bit.
I thank you. I'm grateful for it. I learned some things and met some people, and some good people, like-minded people. That's what we were seeking as well, to hang out and get to know people who were like-minded, married, or we were on the verge. We were dating, looking towards marriage, engagement, and to be around just that. You don't have to be they say, some people say you married and then that's it. No, we had a good time. We had forums, we hung out. I mean, barbecues, cookouts, down to the fun, down to the seriousness. As you said, a complete couple, a complete relationship with each other as friends. And some of us have grown into becoming each other's family.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Blood doesn't make you family. It's the connection.
It's the connection. And please tell D I called him a beautiful husband in the most manliest way.
He said he popped in on his break. He popped in on his break and said, "Good afternoon. God bless you, brother. Can't go on too long. Just want to say congrats to you. You're a great inspiration, and I love you, big bro."
I salute you, D. My man, please give him my love for sure.
Yeah, and just to go over the chat, Vivian also said a temporary distraction to take that focus away from your eye earlier when we were talking about things distracting you.
Yes.
Power of intentions. It's also to have that partner who doesn't accept no.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. That's for sure.
Who doesn't accept no. It's a difference of accepting your no when we really know that you're steadfast on that, then that's it, versus nah, son, you being wishy-washy, you know.
Yeah. They know the difference. She knows the difference, you know, she knows the difference.
So if anybody take this time now, if you like to unmute yourself and ask Stephen a question or a comment or congratulations or whatever you like to say, you can unmute yourself now.
Hello.
I can go ahead, speak up a little bit, soft-spoken, Tina.
Hi guys. I just
Hey,
want to say
Tina.
one and to Mr. and Mrs. King. Mr. King, it is truly, truly good to see you. I had to say something. I read this book, and in all the conversations that we've had and in all the times that I've met you, Miss T, I got mine signed already.
Well, maybe come to the board.
I had to throw that in there.
I'm sorry.
In all the conversations we've had and all the times that I've met you, and so many times you've imparted so much wisdom upon me, especially being a single mom raising two children, one of which was a young man, and just being terrified of just, you know, things as simple as how to teach my son how to tie a tie. I'll never forget the conversation I had with you one day, and you said, you know, yeah, there's plenty of places you can go to learn that, you know, there's YouTube, there's all these things. He says, but why would you do that when you could just ask me? And I'm like, you know, it took me back, you know, but then the more I began to talk to you and the more I began to be around you and Tina, I realized that you were one of those friends that are definitely a person who is here with a purpose, and the purpose is always service. It's never been about you. It's always been, how can I help? Even if it's just in casual conversation. And if one thing COVID has taught me is that I want to be around more people like that, you know. And in reading your book, I felt kind of sad though, because I said, wow, he was going through so much and he never said a word, not one word about what was going on with him. It was always, how are you? How are you feeling? How's your kids? What's going on? How can we help? But have you had any fun? What are you doing for you? You know, what are you doing? You know, it's always about the other person. And I have to tell you that I am so, so grateful for you and your friendship. And as I told you, when I first finished reading the book, I'm so grateful that you realize and recognize that those tests were your testimony, and that there were definitely people out there who needed this story. And I'm so grateful that you listened to God and heeded his word and put it on pen to paper, because there are a lot of people out here who need it. I work in healthcare, for example. Like Miss T, I have a story similar. I have a patient who is a diabetic, threatening to be blind, and amongst a whole bunch of other debilitating illnesses as a result of his diabetes, because of his just inability to not even comprehend, just accept. He does not want to accept where he is, you know, and he's really angry and going through all these changes. Why do I have to go to so many eye doctor appointments? You know, why is my vision changing so much? And I had your book one day and I brought it to work with him. And I said, you know what? A friend of mine wrote this book. I'm going to get you a copy of this book. Read this book. I said, this man did not have a choice. Yet he never looked at it. At least, you know, I'm sure he was afraid, but it never came across that, you know, this was something that he was so angry about that he was unwilling to just do anything other than suffer. You know, I said, so the question is, do you want to stay stuck or do you want to move forward? And I think this book can help you, you know. And I gave him a copy of the book, and I've seen him twice since then. I said, have you read the book? I did start reading it. I haven't finished it, but it is some good news in there, and I'm going to continue. So I just want to tell you that it is reaching far more probably than you ever imagined, but that was God's purpose. And I thank you for doing it.
Thank you. We love you. You know, we love you with all we got.
I love you guys too.
That's great. That's great. That's great. It's stories like that that, again, like I said, make everything that I had to endure worthwhile. It brings it full circle. It answers the question, why, God?
Yeah.
This is why. This is why. And there's no better feeling. I chased a lot of stuff in my life, man. I chased the money, the property, the prestige for, different reasons, like, again, to overcompensate for my own insecurities, things like that. But nothing makes me feel more complete than, like you said, the service, to give back to other people.
Yes.
A friend of mine just yesterday, he had a very important accomplishment, and he had invited me to be there. Right. It was on Zoom, but he invited me to be there, and I missed it. I forgot it. And I was with T, like it was at 9 a.m. and it was like 5. And I was like, shit, I missed it. Right. And I had to call him and apologize. And he said, before you even say a word, you're good with me. Right. He says, you showed up for me when nobody else would. This man was in the hospital with COVID in stinking Lincoln Hospital, right? And the mistreatment that they were giving him was criminal. And I was calling him every day. I was getting on the phone with the doctors, right? I like literally, I got another friend of mine who's in medicine. He's like a male nurse. I connected him with the doctors, and they're talking and stuff like that because they weren't giving him the right treatments. And God sent me to be there for him, and he remembered that. And he was like, bro, what you did for me in time of real need, I will never forget. So he said, we're good. You don't got to worry about nothing. You missed this. That's small. You showed up for me when it really counted. And again, it made it worthwhile. And there's no better feeling for me than to be able to help somebody just because, with no recognition. Like, this is the first time I'm ever sharing this, and only because it's relevant to what you said. Like, that's just who I am. If I can help you, I'm going to help you. With nothing in return, no expectations. It's just like, I feel, and I'm learning that from Les Brown. Les Brown reached a point in his life, he's 77 years old, and I'm blessed to be able to talk to this man almost on a daily basis. Like, I was able to help Les Brown when he was going through some family issues. I was able to pray with him, but to watch him and the joy he gets from just being able to give back to people because he can. He uses his celebrity, he uses his connection, he uses his platform just to give back, I think is, to me, that's true success, when you can help people just because you can. That, to me, is the definition of success. So, and thank you for everything you said. We love you.
Vivian, I see you unmuted. Would you like to say something?
Yes, I actually would. Stephen and Tina. Well, Stephen, when I read your book, I have to actually say that there was like a connection to what you've been through. Might not be in the same situation. I had an issue with my back. You had the issue with your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, for you to be so vulnerable and discuss what you went through and the steps that you had to do to get to where you were at that point. It was like, if you can do it, and if you can be open to what's going on with your life, anybody should be able to do that.
Yes.
And I thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you. And there's one other thing with Tina. Tina, you are a rock star. I have to say, she was by your side, no matter what the issue was.
Mm-hmm.
And the parts that when you said, when Tina just shook her head, or Tina just said, I was like, Tina, speak more. God, why don't you say some more, Tina? But I have to say, you have a powerhouse. The both of you combined together are going to go and do tremendous things, because between you and what you have to say and what you've been through, and the woman by your side to guide you and support you in that, I mean, I'm ready for more.
Yeah.
I really am. It's wonderful. It really is. And
Thanks.
Thank you.
Viv.
Congratulations for winning the award as well. And
Yes.
I'm sure there's more to come.
Thank you, Viv. You
Thank
know, we love you
Thank
too. We love you.
I love
too.
you guys both.
Thank
You
you.
know
Thank
that.
you for that.
So what'd you
Thank
say? It's really good to see you again.
Again.
I'm sorry. Anyone else
Yeah.
would like to say anything before I hog up because I have a tendency to do that. Also, I wanted to bring up when I first met both of you guys, it's good vibrations. That's
Yes.
the good vibrations, the energy that I received off of both of you. And even when it came time to, like, if I wanted to connect with you and I didn't have your number or anything yet, I respectfully went straight to your wife. She knew, oh, Tina, I would like to contact you. I had been in reference to this, that, and the third. And she's like, okay. I was like, no, it's just the order of how you do things. Because of one, that's how I am, but it's the respect giving to see, you can see the relationship that you both have. And that you, as a person looking from the outside in, I have the utmost respect for marriage, period, and then your relationship as well, regardless of I know you both separately and together. So I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you too, for sure.
Yes.
Yes. And Tina, would you like to say something, please, sister?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this platform and everything that you do, period. Aside from this, everything you've always done. We love you and we appreciate you always. And thank you everyone who's joined. Like, just the support is amazing. You know, I listen in when Steve does interviews and, you know, I know the story firsthand, and every time I hear it, it's like we're reliving what happened, and it makes me appreciate the situation even more, right? Because it really showed our strength. You don't know how, I know we were saying, Steve always says, you don't know how strong you are until you know how strong you are. So it's kind of like, it was a test. It was a test of patience. It was a test of perseverance. It was a test of all of that. You know, with what he was going through from a relationship standpoint, from all around. And like he always said, you know, in the beginning, he didn't know if, you know, it was a lot of things playing in his mind. Is my wife going to leave me? I'm not going to be able to see my granddaughter graduate college. Like, he had these things in his mind. And I told him I was not going nowhere. So as he had his thoughts, I had my thoughts. And I'm like, if that was the case, then we're going to do this together. And I got your back. And I'm going to take you where you need to go. And we're going to ride this out until death do us part. So I wasn't going nowhere. But I wanted him to know and have his feelings to get through what he needed to get through, so that he can, you know, like he said, he doesn't want to have to deal with our feel, you know, it would be a lot of pressure if I'm telling him what I'm thinking about and stuff like that. So I'm grateful that we go through. And like he said, I want to clear something up, because Steve always does this. When he says we make love every morning after 14 years, I just want to elaborate on that, because he says that and then he doesn't finish the story. And it leads people, he goes into something else, and it's like, can you clean that up? So when he said about making love every morning, and what he meant by it was what he said, our gratitude list. We read 2 verses in the Bible. Like, there's a technique. So that's his version of making love every day.
Spiritual love.
So say spiritual love every time. Don't just say make love. But no, but what I'm saying is, doing that is what keeps us, things like that is what keeps us on track, and being grateful for everything that we have and being able to get through things that we go through. So, you know, I just appreciate forums like this where it allows him to share his story. I've watched him through the years. I just told you, I think yesterday, I said, it seems like every phone conversation, everything he does is to help other people. So it's really a joy as a woman to have someone that is like that. So I appreciate you. I'm proud of you. I'm wishing you congrats again on your award. And I just thank you all for allowing us to, for him to share the story.
I love you, baby. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to give a quick shout out to my man, Gary, who's on with us. Gary White. That's my boy. We go back like like leather jackets,
Leather bombers.
leather bombers, sheepskin.
Good. That's good. You have a comment in here from Vanessa. She said, "Hi, everyone. Looking forward to reading the book, Stephen. Love the power
Thank you.
couple that you and Tina are.
Thank you.
Congratulations and blessings to you." That's
Thank you,
from
Vanessa. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Yes.
That was from Vanessa. Anyone else would like to have any?
You're welcome. You're welcome. Let me see if I can get my camera going. Hey, I'm outside. Hi.
That's a
Hi.
good place to be.
Many blessings. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. I can't wait to read the book.
Thank you.
And I love the forum. Okay? That's all I got.
That's
Thank
all
you.
you needed to say. That's good. That's good right there.
It's good to see everybody.
It's good to be seen.
It's good to be seen. It's really good to see you too. All you
Yeah.
got is all we need.
All right.
All right. Well, we're coming to a close of our Soul Book Club meeting of the month for October. It's been awesome. I thank all of you guys for coming out. We usually meet monthly. I was trying to eventually do it in person, but I'm glad for the forum of Zoom to be able to still continue to do one of my passions, which is reading and writing and getting information out and just uplifting people and being an encourager. That's one of my, God has told me that's one of my callings, is encouraging and uplifting others. So if it seems like I'm always posting something or saying something or doing something, lots of times it's not even me, it's the Holy Spirit that's moved me, and I'll text somebody or I'll call somebody and it'll be exactly what they needed. And I'm like, oh, sometimes I think, am I bothering somebody or am I in their business? But the Holy Spirit moves me to say no. There's times that I reach out to Vivian and she hits me back in Spanish and English. She'd be like, how did you know? Who told you? Or Keisha or whomever, and Shana that's on here as well. So I just thank the Most High God for the opportunity, for the connections and for the love and for the unity that we have here, that we're developing in Question of the Day, where some of us met, whether it's here in Soul Book Club and Complete Chocolate Couples, wherever it is, as long as it's a like-minded forum and it's good vibrations, I'm there all for it. So you can find some of the information on my website that I'm still adjusting, but it's myrecipeforlife.com. Some events that I'm doing, or the next book club meeting that's coming up, which is Sunday, November 21st. She is also the African American Literary Awards winner she wrote A Salem, that's Renee Flagler, for the best poet in the best poetry category. Is a good friend of mine as well, and she's also in the Soul Book Club group. So she'll be here live with us as well on Zoom Sunday, November 21st at 5 p.m. Tell a friend. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you learned something and you were enlightened this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. T, I just wanna honor you for this forum, for thinking of Tina and I, and just for all that you do, from the toy drive to I remember you did something at the National Action Network a while back. You are walking in your purpose, and that needs to be celebrated. It needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be applauded. So we thank you for all that you're doing and the difference you're making in this world.
Yes.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. On a line note, after y'all called me earlier, I was getting my nails and I got some lashes done too. I was like, lady, don't poke my eye out. I gotta be able to see later for my interview. Now, I love y'all. Nothing you can do
Love
about
you.
it.
Love you too, with all we got.
I'll see y'all at the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for showing. Appreciate y'all.
And
All right.
again,
Have a good day.
Stephen.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss T.
Oh, you're welcome, baby. I love you.
Love you too.
Miss T, what's the next book? What's the name of it again? Tell me the title.
I got to go back to tell you the title, but that was just telling you what the book club winner, what she won the category in. But I believe it's Dream Journey. I'm gonna put it up again. I'm gonna put it
Yeah,
up
so I
again
can
in
get the
the
book.
group right after we get off.
Okay,
All
thanks.
right.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Have a good
Bye-bye.
day. Bye.